Get ready for a wave of innovation that's set to transform your Apple devices. But could it come at a price? Imagine waking up to smoother interfaces, smarter translations, and features that make your daily tech interactions feel like magic. That's the promise of Apple's latest software updates, and we're diving into the details right now. But here's where it gets controversial. As Apple expands its ecosystem with new functionalities, some changes spark heated debates about privacy, battery life, and even the role of ads in apps we love. Stick around because we're about to unpack it all with insights that even beginners can grasp easily. Apple unleashes release candidates for iOS 26.1, iPadOS 26.1, macOS Tahoe 26.1, and more. Testing the future today. Posted on Tuesday, October 28th, 2025 at 1:07 p.m. PDT by Julie Clover, with a nod to the original source at https://www.macrumors.com, Julie Clover. Apple has just rolled out the release candidate versions of its upcoming software updates to developers and public beta testers. This includes iOS 26.1, iPadOS 26.1, macOS Tahoe 26.1, tvOS 26.1, watchOS 26.1, and visionOS 26.1. These are the polished versions meant for final checks before the big public launch. They follow the fourth betas that Apple shared just a week ago. For more on that, check out our previous coverage at https://www.macrumors.com/2025 Appleseed's iOS 26.1 Beta 4. To get your hands on these updates, simply head to the Settings app on a compatible device, navigate to General, and tap Software Update. It's straightforward, even for those new to beta testing. Think of it as a sneak peek into the future without risking your main device. One of the standout enhancements is Apple Intelligence. Explore it further in our guide at https://www.macrumors.guide/Apple Intelligence. You can now enjoy it in Danish, Dutch, Norwegian, Portuguese, Portugal, Swedish, Turkish, Chinese traditional, and Vietnamese. Plus, AirPods Live Translation has expanded its capabilities to include Japanese, Korean, Italian, and both Mandarin traditional and simplified Chinese in iOS 26.1. This makes real-time conversations across languages easier than ever, perfect for travelers or multilingual families. And this is the part most people miss. There are practical tweaks too. You've got a toggle to adjust the opacity of the liquid glass feature, which enhances the lock screen's visual appeal. You can even disable the lock screen camera swipe if it feels intrusive. Visual updates shine through in apps like Calendar, Safari, Apple Music. Dive into that at https://www.macrumors.com/guide/Apple Music. And Photos. Learn more at https://www.macrumors.com/guide/photos. For a full rundown of what's new in iOS 26.1, our comprehensive feature list is your go-to at https://www.macrumors.com/guide/iOS 26.1 beta features. Expect these updates: iOS 26.1, iPadOS 26.1, macOS Tahoe 26.1, tvOS 26.1, watchOS 26.1, and visionOS 26.1 to hit the public in early November. It's like Christmas coming early for Apple fans. Popular stories, the buzz around Apple's latest moves, iOS 26.1 beta, liquid glass battery drain test, Tintin versus clear mode. Does looks affect performance? Published on Friday, October 24th, 2025 at 2:30 p.m. PDT by Julie Clover. Original author details at https://www.macrumors.com/author. In the latest twist of the fourth iOS 26.1 beta, Apple introduced a tinted option for liquid glass, making it less see-through for a more solid appearance. Some users speculated if this might help save battery life, so I decided to put it to the test. Battery efficiency is a hot topic. After all, who wants their phone dying midday? For my experiments, I used an iPhone 17 Pro Max and kept conditions as consistent as possible across 4 trials. Here's what I found. And for those wondering, this subtle change could influence how you perceive battery usage, especially if you're always tweaking settings for that extra hour of power. iOS 26.1 on the horizon. Exciting new features for your iPhone and when to expect them. The forthcoming iOS 26.1 update brings several fresh additions and modifications to iPhones, such as a switch to alter the liquid glass design's look, a slide to stop, gesture for alarms in the clock app, and additional enhancements. Below, we'll break down the essentials. Think of this as Apple's way of listening to user feedback. But is it enough to satisfy everyone? Release date. With no iOS 26.1 release candidate seeded yet, which is usually the last beta, the rollout isn't imminent. Apple eyes ads in Maps app, innovation or intrusion. According to Bloomberg's Mark Gurman, Apple Maps might soon incorporate ads, potentially as early as next year. In his Power On newsletter, Gurman reveals that Apple's push for more advertising on iOS is picking up steam, with Maps next on the list. This would allow eateries and businesses to pay for better visibility in search results. Here's where it gets controversial. While this could boost local economies, many worry it might clutter the clean Maps experience or compromise user privacy. Is convenience worth the trade-off? Apple TV 4K update rumors. Could it drop by year's end with fresh features? Reported on Monday, October 27, 2025 at 4:51 p.m. PDT by Julie Clover. Find the author at https://www.macrumors.com/author Julie Clover. Apple is rumored to be working on a refreshed Apple TV 4K, with whispers of a launch in the coming months. Perhaps before 2025 wraps up. Don't expect drastic design shifts, but even a processor upgrade could significantly boost performance for this streaming powerhouse. Subscribe to our Mac Rumors YouTube for more video insights. We've compiled the latest rumors. iOS 26.1 arriving soon, 8 new features to elevate your iPhone. Posted on Wednesday, October 22, 2025 at 6:15 a.m. PDT by Joe Rosignol. Original bio at https://author/Joe Rosignol. The impending iOS 26.1 update offers several novel features and improvements for iPhones, like an option to customize the liquid glass aesthetic, a slide to stop for clock alarms, and more. Currently in beta, it's slated for release in early November and supports iPhone 11 series and later, though certain features M6 MacBook Pro, anticipated release, costs, and what lies ahead, shared on Monday, October 27, 2025 at 9:15 a.m. PDT by Tim Hardwick. Author info at https://www.macrumors.com/author Tim Hardwick. This month, Apple updated the base 14-inch MacBook Pro with the new M5 chip, with premium 14-inch and 16-inch models featuring M5 Pro and M5 Max, expected in early 2026. These mark the end of the current design era as Apple gears up for a bolder MacBook Pro with cutting-edge tech. iPhone 18 whispers, a 50% RAM boost on the cards? Word from Korea's The Bell suggests the iPhone 18 could pack 50% more RAM than its predecessors. The current iPhone Air, iPhone 17 Pro, and iPhone 17 Pro Max already boast 12 gigabytes, a jump from the last gen, driven by AI needs. The iPhone 17 stands out. Swift SDK for Android. Developers can now build cross-platform apps with ease. The initial Swift SDK for Android preview dropped this week, letting coders create Android apps using Swift and official tools, simplifying code sharing between iOS and Android. This shifts from unofficial methods. Apple confirms US passport feature for iPhone is just around the corner. Jennifer Bailey, Apple's VP of Apple Pay and Apple Wallet, announced that a digital US passport option for your iPhone is soon to arrive. She mentioned this at the Money 2020 USA event in Las Vegas. Apple's iOS 26 page notes it's delayed but coming later this year. What do you think about these updates? Does the idea of ads infiltrating Apple Maps excite you for better local discoveries? Or does it feel like a step toward a more commercialized experience? And on battery tests for liquid glass, have you noticed any real-world differences? Share your thoughts in the comments. Agreement or disagreement welcome.